episode of The American Entrepreneur, where we interview entrepreneurs all over the world, but as long as they do business in the United States, we want to hear their story, their ups and downs, why they got into the business that they're in, and maybe something that they have learned that you guys out there can apply to your own business. Our guest today is Marilem Crump. I believe I'm saying that right. Is that right, Marilyn? Well, thank you very much for being a part of this. I'd love to hear your story. It looks like you are a best-selling author and you are located in Virginia. So I want to hear your story and you just take it away. Who are you? What do you do? Why did you get into what the business that you're in? And is there anything that you've learned along the way that can help out our viewers who are looking to be entrepreneurs, or maybe they're entrepreneurs already? So take it away, Marilyn.
Well, perfect. Well, thank you for that warm introduction. The number one best-selling author thing is pretty recent, and I'm pretty fortunate to have been involved with that publication. And just more about me, I own a business called Art Inspired and have been running that since 2000. And it was founded because at first I was a freelance photographer, so I thought, hey, that's a great name for it. And then I was also dabbling on the side, teaching other things like ballroom dancing and some fitness things as well. So at one point I decided, well, I'm just going to combine everything. And I came up with a great motto. It says, Art Inspired, we believe in the art of movement, wellness, creativity, and inspiration. So I was able to create a platform for my skills and talents because it was just one of those things that I couldn't see myself working a regular 9-to-5 type of job. I knew I had skills and I knew I had things to share with other people. So I said, well, why don't I just start doing it and learn the business side as I go? So it wasn't my intention to be a business owner. I just knew what I loved to do, and I knew that I loved to share what I did. So
Wow,
that's how it
was that
started.
scary? Was that scary taking that leap? I guess, if you don't have too many people around you who can teach you the way, was it really scary in the very beginning?
You kind of learn to push away the fear, especially if you do things like performing or dancing anyway. You're used to that. So you have to have a good ounce of stubbornness when you're going to go out into the business world on your own. Yes, it's always scary, but I always had like creative outlets. I was also working as a web designer. So with that kind of job, it was flexible enough for me to try and do some things and still have some cash flow going on. And of course, with ballroom dancing, there's not that many people out there that teach it. So it was always easy to find a studio to be able to do that with. But when it became time for me to run my own studio, that's when things got really scary, I guess if you want to use that word. But I definitely try to not live a life full of fear. And I think
Right.
that would be, yeah, one of those things that if anyone's looking into getting into business, fear is just mainly, it comes up when you don't know enough. And you can conquer a lot of your fears by educating yourself and reading up on the right things, talking to the right people, finding the right mentors. There's ways to get over the fear. If it's just that, it's just the fear of your own mind and thinking of possibilities that might hurt you. Well, none of those things exist at the moment. You might as well just go for the education and see where it goes from there.
Now, what was you? We hinted on the whole. It was a scary feeling at first, but was it because it was really total commitment? Like for the first time, you were probably signing a lease or getting a building to start doing this on your own. Is that why? Is that why it was scary? It was more of a
Yeah.
commitment, if you will.
Yeah, in the beginning, I was freelancing, that's what I called it, and renting out different spaces. And it's just pretty funny when I was trying to make it so that it was convenient for people to come and find me. I was chasing pretty much my own classes. I was going to one side of town, then the other side of town, because I figured, hey, market there and do that. And then people just started asking, well, where's the one place you're at? Because it kind of backfired. People from the other side of town couldn't make it on that day, so they would have to travel all the way to the other side. So I was like, well, I never really thought of that because I didn't think about owning a space where I had to really pay the rent and be managing, like cleaning the space and everything like that. But it's funny how you make decisions sometimes because of the inconvenience of not having your own space. So when someone else is controlling the time that you can run your business because they have things that they need to do with their business. You're kind of just, saddling it. But then my husband was like, well, you have enough people in your roster and people are asking the right questions, so let's go ahead and do it. So I really think that most of the fear subsided because I did have such a great support system from my husband to go ahead and start looking for a space. But in the first year of actually owning a space, I would say it was pretty scary.
That toughens you up though, right, Marilyn?
Yeah, but you kind of just say, hey, like you said, I committed to this and I got to see it through.
It's
And that
beautiful.
was in 2010, I believe, or 2011. So it's almost 2017. And so that's how long we've been running an actual space. And I
Wow.
love it. I love it.
How do you find your clients? Is it more word of mouth? Is it a lot of social media? Do you advertise in traditional ways? How do you get your name out there?
Well, we do that. We do everything that we can because with social media, it's easy. It's most of the time it's just your own effort. So in a way, it's free. And me being a web designer, I've always been fortunate enough to design my own logos and create my own websites, and not having any fear for that part of it. And then once you get good clients, of course, word of mouth is so super valuable. So I still have people that have started with me, and it's really fun because in my line of business, we do a lot of things that are fun. And so socially, we become friends, and some friends become instructors, and they become team members. And so it's just neat because some of the people who started out as clients are now the bestest friends I have, the biggest supporters of the studio, and I wouldn't be where I am if it weren't for them.
It's beautiful. Yeah. Now, as an entrepreneur, do you see yourself inspiring others to kind of go after their business, their dream idea, even that book that you wrote? I want to get to in a second here, but do you see other people starting to take that leap because you let your guard down and went after what you really wanted out of life? Do you see that happening?
Definitely. Now, it's pretty funny you're saying that because about 5 years ago, I started coaching other photographers because I was feeling the need to do that because sometimes when I can't and I don't have enough time to service a client, I would always love to refer them to someone that's good, but I didn't really know who knew what and how they practice business. So I said, well, let me train some people, let me give them some business advice, bump them up so that if I have clients for them, they can definitely take over it. And then the client's happy with me, they're happy with me, we're all happy, win, 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 right?
Yeah.
So so that I started teaching more on that aspect. So it became more of a class instead of just a service. So now I have an apprenticeship program where I train other photographers to become entrepreneurs themselves, kind of leading them through what it takes to get started. And then that turned into me business coaching some other people. And I ended up coaching a coach because she needed marketing help. And that was pretty interesting because she was a life coach. And then, she said, hey, you're really good at that. And so I never thought of myself becoming a life coach. Then little by little, it became that as well. So our new programs really is more involved coaching wise. We're still incorporating a lot of the things that we've always had, but now it just has that extra touch of care and love.
Wow. Wow. Now, what inspired you? Tell us about the book because it seems like you started the business and then it just led into, I mean, you're a great communicator. So I don't know if you have always been, or did entrepreneurship help that, or did that come from the book? Did you get speaking gigs? Let's go back to the beginning of the book. What made you create that, and what's it about? Give me the name. I'd love to hear a little bit about your book.
Sure. The book is called The Gifts of Grace and Gratitude, and it's published by the Powerful You Network. And they created an anthology book where different women who had fantastic stories to talk about triumph. So it's more of a memoir. And I decided to just go ahead and jump into it because there were a lot of things that shaped who I am today. And I wanted to contribute my point of view to say that you can get over different difficult obstacles in your life. And for me, that moment was just really pure and a discovery for me, really learning that, hey, you can hit rock bottom, but then if you really set your sights, and I would say by the grace of God, that really was the thing that pulled me through. And so that's my story in that nutshell there. But it gave me an outlet to say, hey, I could really write more about this. I've always been writing. I love blogging, and I love
Me too. Me too.
yeah, so if, like you said, if you're a communicator, and it's really neat how things always come together, the things that you've experienced. And I have had the good fortune of being an actress, so I've done some commercial work. And
Wow.
so learning how to speak in front of a camera and not stutter too much, all these things were, I thought, skills to help me be famous one day on the big screen, but it's really now skills that help me articulate everything that I want to tell the public and things that I want to share with people. And I find that I never realized that that would be the path I would go, but I'm very thankful that that turned out that way.
You were an actress. An actress.
Yeah,
No
yeah.
way. Anything that we would have seen you in, or
Yeah, the most recent thing that's running right now is a commercial for the CBN network. I'm just playing a caroler for a commercial, for a Merry Christmas commercial. But I've done different things on television and a lot of commercial work, actually. So I've been in those Why Do You Think Smoking Isn't Good commercials a long
oh.
time ago as well. Those were the most fun. And I did a Goodwill commercial here for the state of Virginia, so I'm on that right now. That's running, and a national Walmart commercial. So some people might recognize that. If you Google Walmart and Marilen, Marilen, you should be able to find my commercial pretty easily for that one.
Man, now you've been doing this for years, it seems like. So writing a book was just another step, or even, no pun intended, another chapter in your life. Now,
Yes.
has that opened up doors? Because I've noticed, even writing my first book, DreamStarter, the Startup Business Guide for the Die-Hard Entrepreneur, it's opened up many doors to me. And now, has that happened to you too? After you wrote that first book, were you able to use it to get speaking gigs? Are you using it as a marketing tool? How are you?
Uh,
How are you
yeah.
helping your business out with the book?
Well, I know that right now it's actually supplementing the business. It's funny because sometimes people use it the other way around, but for me, I've already been speaking, and I had a speaking engagement with Civitan International where I was talking about health and the brain, and so it's just nice now to say, hey, if I get that speaking engagement again, I can add that to the list. But the book just launched in November, which is last month, so that's why it's still in the works for me promoting that and using that as leverage. But I find that it's kind of helping become a supplement so that it's a nice gift to give to people so that they know my story. And then it boosts my other programs that I'm doing because it's all about being truthful and being vulnerable about yourself. So having that story out there really shows that, hey, if I can do it, you could do it. Let's be honest with each other. We both probably came from different things that shaped us, but together we can create something new, we can create something different and achieve our goals.
Yeah, I find it fascinating. I've been talking to a lot of entrepreneurs, and majority of them are either in the process of writing a book or they already did write a book. And when I wrote my first one, which I'm working on my second one now, I think it's something that if you write a book, you start to realize, is my life interesting enough to put down on paper? And I believe that everybody has a story or a lesson to teach others. So I believe that if you start putting it down on paper, you realize that your life is pretty interesting. But it also proves the point that if you start writing a book, you want to live a life that's worth reading. So you want to make it interesting, and it kind of plays off each other. And
It
I
does.
don't know, if you found that out in your experience, but I've seen it in mine, and it makes me question every decision that I make. Where, well, if it doesn't lead to a great story or a life that I'm proud of, then I don't want to be a part of it.
Right. Oh, definitely. Now everything's part of the story, right? Like you said. So if I look back in life and someone writes the whole story about the whole life, yeah, I get to choose the chapters from here on out. Like before, maybe all those things were accidental and I was just kind of flopping along making decisions. But now you know that if you make very bold choices, but driven choices, choices that work towards your vision and your goal, yeah, it's part of the bigger story and it's always being written. And I'm also getting into podcasting too, which I find
Oh,
pretty exciting. So I have a channel on Spreaker. If you Google that, you should be able to land on it. But MarilenCrump.com, I'm trying to link a bunch of those things since I'm into everything. I figured I'll put in one big hub so people can go look at that and to find those different links. But it's become a really fun outlet. So some of it is just me talking about life in general, but also I get to share other aspects like my poetry. So there's poetry I've written,
Man,
and
you are all over the place. I love this. I absolutely love it. Yeah.
yeah, so I guess I'm a multipreneur as well.
Great. Okay, so uh, if there was one thing for our viewers out there, most of them are probably thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, or even a good portion are probably entrepreneurs that may be lost in their own path. So if there was anything for you to share with them, which is one main point that you find very valuable in your life, what would you share with them? And how did you come to that aha moment that is important in
Right.
entrepreneurship?
Well, for me, I guess in life, you're either an encourager or a discourager, and you can be that for yourself, and you can find other people who are either one of those two things. And so if you're going for something, whether it's a new career, trying to be an entrepreneur, you got to find those people who are going to encourage you and not just discourage you, because you need people to talk to, you need people to hash ideas out with. But then also when you're talking to yourself, are you encouraging yourself? Are you discouraging yourself? Any type of discouragement, to me, it just sets you back. So you might not know all the decisions. You might not even know which direction to first take. But if you don't have that first encouragement, you're not going to get anywhere. So I think if you keep it that simple and kind of look around you, there's motives out there. You have your own motives. People have their motives. You can clean all that up by just saying, okay, listen, who's encouraging me right now? Who's discouraging me? Am I doing it to myself? And if you do that, that makes life a whole lot easier. And I think I came to that realization because sometimes people don't believe in your dreams. Sometimes people want you to be what they were because it's safe for them. And so you find a lot of times people are discouraging your great ideas. They're popping your bubble. And I used to take it to heart and say, well, okay, I won't do that, or that's too hard. But then you don't see any changes in life. You just kind of say, well, why am I disappointed? Oh, yeah, because I didn't take that step. Why didn't I take that step? Oh, someone discouraged me. And why did they discourage me? Oh, it's because I didn't encourage myself. So it's kind of, it starts with you. It starts with saying, I'm committing to encouragement for myself, to others, and from others. And that's all there is.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in auditing your circle. Now, I wouldn't say auditing as in removing people from your life, but turning down the volume of what they say.
Yeah.
And some people I really looked up to for years. And then when I really got a good glimpse of who they are, it was time to say, you know what you're saying to me now doesn't mean as much as it did, let's just say 7 years ago. So I'm gonna turn down the volume on you. And this person who is more my mentor and encourager, good way to put it. I've never even put it in an encourager or discourager format, but this person over here is who I look up to and want to be. I want to listen to you now. And it's that changes year to
Yeah.
year, and every once in a while it's something that fluctuates, and I think you have to make adjustments constantly in your life. And since 2017 is coming up, I think it's a good time to do that. A new year, new you, that type of thing.
Perfect. Yeah, exactly. And you could write that word, encouragement, make it mean something to you.
It's beautiful. Okay, so you already said the book and your website. Is there any other way for people to reach out to you if you have any questions? Is there anything that, you're into a lot of things. So if you ever wanted to help anybody out, if they had questions for you, any ways to reach you on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, anything?
Sure. Yeah, Art Inspired is probably the easiest way. So artinspired.com. And it's also the same handle for Twitter and Instagram. So if you follow me on those two things, for the Twitter, you may mainly see my daily agenda at the studio. But for Instagram, some fun things on there as well. But yeah, the website, if you look at our Facebook, it's the Art Inspired Center. And then me on Facebook, as long as I have room for it on my Facebook, people can friend request me. That's good.
That's
So it's
awesome.
Marilyn Crump.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, uh, it's amazing doing this, the American Entrepreneur web series. I'm reaching out to people all over the world, and it is incredible that the people I've already spoken to and who I'm talking to right now, everybody has this incredible story, and there is one central theme where failure and rejection turns you into a stronger person. and just hearing your story, I think a lot of people can take a lot from that. So I really thank you for even being a part of this, and I hope to have you back in 2017 whenever we have a couple more people in different industries. I'm sure we'd love to hear your thoughts and what you're doing for the upcoming year, if that's okay.
That sounds great. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and
Thank
then
you so
you'll
much.
probably have another book and another actress session and something else to promote. So I want to hear it. Okay.
That's right. That's right.
Well,
Certainly. I would love to share.
that's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you very much, Marilyn. It was a pleasure. And like I said, we'll be talking to you next year. And guys, anybody out there, if you're an entrepreneur, please stay tuned because there's going to be so many different businesses, so many different entrepreneurs that have a story to tell you, and hopefully you take it and take action. 2017 is coming up. Hopefully you apply this stuff to your own life. And we really, really appreciate you watching, and we hope you get something from it. Remember, guys, the American entrepreneur will always create more. Thank you.